Welcome to Pennsylvania in Focus. I'm Eliana Kernodle. Today we're talking about transit funding. Joining me to tell us more about the latest on this is the Center Square's Pennsylvania editor, Kristen Smith. The House saw some movement on transit funding this week. Can you tell us about it?
Sure. So the House finally voted on a $292 million plan to boost public transit funding in Pennsylvania. This was a big priority of House Democrats, Senate Democrats, and Governor Josh Shapiro. And so it's not a surprise that it passed the chamber. The House is or the Democrats are in control of that chamber. And also what's important to note here is that, there are Republicans who live in regions that are quite reliant on public transit. I think the most obvious would be southeastern Pennsylvania and SEPTA. So you have Republicans who in the House who did vote for this. So it was, comfortably bipartisan. So now it has to head to the Senate where there's much more skepticism. Senate districts are a lot bigger. There's obviously Democrats are on board with it there, but the Senate is comfortably controlled by Republicans. So whatever deal eventually happens, they have to be okay with it. And it's not a razor thin margin like in the House. And their concern has always been that we're going to give $292 million to essentially Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, although some money will go to all 67 counties, and what they consider a bailout for, in their opinion, mismanagement and, an inability to deal with declining ridership that never really recovered after the pandemic. And in the case of something like SEPTA, they've cut lines, they've made concessions, they have tried to make changes, but they just haven't been able to close that gap. And they believe that there's a more historical problem behind it. It's not just COVID-19 that really tanked their entire systems. And without proper investment, there's roughly 1 million people who use SEPTA daily to get to work, to go to the grocery store, to go to the doctor. And so not only losing service routes, but seeing double-digit increases in their fares would be really detrimental for them. And so those are kind of the main arguments but for senators, they would rather see more cost-cutting measures. They are not against giving more money. They haven't signaled that they're okay with $292 million. They've also raised concerns about crime on SEPTA, where there's been a lot of reports over the last several years of pretty violent crimes that have happened on the system. And so Republicans have been very concerned about what is the system doing to address those issues. Now, those crime rates have come down, but it's something that's very public facing for Pennsylvanians. And so Republicans want to make sure that that's properly addressed before giving them even more money.
So you mentioned we're in the middle of budget season in Pennsylvania. What is kind of the possible outcomes here?
Sure. So like I said before, the governor wants $292 million. That's a pretty big increase, comparatively speaking. It remains to be seen whether he will get every dollar that he's asked for. But if we look on past budgets, he's asked for a lot of money for a lot of different things, primarily education, and he's gotten the majority of it each year. So third year in a row, will he get what he wants? It remains to be seen. But again, Democrats are in control. They have to make deals with Republicans, but they have the leverage. They don't need to acquiesce in the way that they've had to in over a decade. And so like I said, we're smack dab in the middle of it. June 30th is when the budget is due. Now, the Senate has already signaled that they don't think that they're going to hit that deadline, but they haven't given off much other than that about where they're headed. But it's reasonable to believe that the governor is going to get money for this. And he's probably going to get a decent amount because it'll be a concession that Senate Republicans will make given the high priority that it is for Governor Shapiro.
Well, Kristen, thank you for your insights on this story. Viewers can continue to follow this and everything budget related in Pennsylvania at the Center Square.